Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, listen to me for just a second. Before we even get the ball rolling today, I need you to do something really important. If you're listening to this, I need you to smash that like button and hit subscribe right now. I am dead serious. The topics we are about to unpack today, these are the specific kinds of things the algorithm actively tries to bury. We are talking about dangerous ideas here, and your support is the only signal boost we have. It's what keeps the show alive. So log in, hit subscribe, and let's get to it.
Today is going to be different. Usually we're parsing business strategy, maybe some history.
Yeah.
Today, we're stripping all of that away. We're looking at a survival guide.
Or maybe survival guide is too soft.
It is. It's more of a battle plan for a siege.
We are diving headfirst into a new ebook by Conrad Riker. Now, the title is a mouthful, but I think the length is, intentional. It's called Mental Health Epidemic, Coming Generation Z Supercritical Reaction of Crash Out Riots and Revolts.
Wow. Yeah, that reads less like a book title and more like a warning siren.
It does. And looking at the premise, Riker isn't interested in telling you it's all going to be okay. He frames this book as an arsenal. He's arguing that for the rational man living in what he sees as an increasingly irrational world, standard self-help is, well, it's worse than useless.
It's part of the trap, he says.
Exactly. You don't need platitudes, you need weapons.
And that is the core hook. Riker's central thesis is that the mental health crisis we see exploding around us, especially the one hitting Gen Z men, isn't an accident. It's not bad luck. It's not just brain chemistry going haywire on its own. He argues it is a manufactured outcome, a predictable consequence of a society that has been, in his words, systematically captured by specific ideologies.
Namely, feminism and Marxism.
A synthesis of the two, yeah.
So to be clear for everyone listening, if you're a guy who feels like the modern world has sort of turned its back on you, or if you've been looking into red pill theory, the manosphere, and you feel like the system is rigged, then this deep dive is, well, it's the blueprint you've been looking for.
He's not just venting, though. He's offering a tactical response. He calls it a weaponized application of philosophy and biology.
Which is why, if you want that full application, the actual step-by-step drills we can only summarize here, you have to buy this book. It's available right now on Amazon Kindle and Google Play Books. We can give you the map, but Riker provides the compass. Go get it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start with the diagnosis. He opens with a section he calls the collapse of sanity.
Right, and this is where he just flips the entire narrative on the mental health pandemic.
Yeah.
Usually the mainstream response is, we need more therapy, we need boys to cry more. Riker says that is the exact opposite of the truth. He calls it a gaslighting campaign.
Gaslighting, meaning what, the depression isn't real?
No, the pain is very real. But the cause isn't some inherent disease. His argument is that society has begun to pathologize normal male behavior. The epidemic is the result of suppressing biological reality, and he traces this all the way back to the first institution most boys encounter, elementary school.
There's a case study in the book that really just, it hits you. He tells the story of a third grader named Jake.
Mm-hmm.
So Jake's in class, and the teacher's doing a lesson on Emily Dickinson.
Okay. An 8-year-old boy.
Exactly. He is not resonating with it. So what does he do? He starts drawing tanks in his notebook.
Which is, that's standard operating procedure for an 8-year-old boy, right? Conflict, mechanics, power.
But in this classroom, because he's drawing tanks, he gets flagged. Meanwhile, a girl in the class is braiding her hair, and she gets praised for being well-behaved. But Jake, his disinterest is treated like a medical problem. He gets sent down the ADHD pipeline.
And Riker uses that to point out this massive structural imbalance. He cites data showing that 87% of elementary school teachers are women.
So it creates an environment where female behavior is the baseline. It's the correct way to be.
Precisely. Riker's whole point is that this monoculture sees male energy, high activity, competitiveness as a dysfunction. It's viewed through a female lens as defective girl behavior. The system asks, why can't he just sit still? And when he can't, the solution is often pharmaceutical.
He calls it chemical castration.
He does. He argues we're using amphetamines to sedate boys into compliance. The goal isn't education, it's management.
That was the big aha moment for me. We're not treating them like students to be taught. We're treating them like patients to be cured. Cured of their own boyhood.
And it goes deeper. Riker points out that the curriculum itself has changed. We've traded the classical foundations, what he calls the trivium.
The trivium. Can you unpack that a bit? It's not a term you hear much anymore.
Well, the trivium was the method of teaching how to think, not what to think. It has 3 parts. Grammar, which is the mechanics of language, then logic, the art of thinking clearly, and rhetoric, the art of persuasion. Riker argues that by getting rid of these tools and replacing them with, feelings-based curriculums, we've stopped teaching boys how to analyze the world.
How to spot a lie.
Exactly. Instead, we teach them how to feel offended. He says we've removed the transcendentals, truth, goodness, beauty, and replaced them with subjective grievance.
So you have a generation of boys who are medicated for being boys and then denied the tools of critical thinking. That is a dangerous mix, and it makes them vulnerable to the next threat he talks about, which is maybe even more terrifying because it's in our pockets.
The simulacrum syndrome?
This is the tech war on men. He calls the smartphone screen digital fentanyl.
It's a strong metaphor, but he backs it with data from Stanford. Teens spending up to 9 hours a day on screens. He connects this to the philosopher Jean Baudrillard and his concept of the simulacrum.
Okay, define that for us. Simulacrum is a pretty heavy term.
Well, in simple terms, a simulacrum is a copy of something that has no original, or a copy that becomes more real than reality itself. Riker's argument is that social media, video games, porn, they've created a digital reality that's more stimulating and safer than the real world. Why risk rejection when you have infinite compliant options on a screen?
But Riker says this isn't just an accidental addiction. He specifically compares TikTok to the opium used by emperors to pacify rebels. It's a pacification technology.
The mechanism is dopamine, and he shares this personal story about his nephew that is it's haunting.
The Walden story.
Right. He's watching his nephew doom-scrolling TikTok faces slack as a coma patient. So Riker hands him a copy of Thoreau's Walden. The kid tries to read it, and then he physically taps the page with his finger.
No, he was trying to scroll the book.
He was trying to refresh the page. When the book didn't move, he got frustrated and put it down. Riker's point is that the kid's brain had been physically rewired. He couldn't process static text anymore. He needed the dopamine hit.
That is terrifying. It's not a bad habit. It's a physiological change.
And he says this leads to the brotherhood betrayal. If you're addicted to the screen, you're isolated. And that gets us to the censorship part. These platforms, Instagram, TikTok, they are not neutral.
They have an agenda.
He points out that feminist narratives get amplified. They get the viral boost. Meanwhile, content about men's rights or even just raw data on male suicide statistics.
It's buried, shadow banned.
Demonetized, yeah. It's what he calls the Great Reset ideology. You manipulate the digital reality to keep men docile and distracted while their real-world status just craters.
Which leads us right into the belly of the beast. We've talked schools, we've talked screens, but those are just the tools. The hand-wielding those tools is what he calls institutional capture.
This is where the book gets its most politically charged. He traces how we got here, and he lays the blame on a Marxist feminist synthesis. The argument is that classical Marxism failed economically, so the ideology shifted to the cultural battleground.
So instead of class war, it became identity war.
Right. They infiltrated the institutions, universities, HR, media, and just eroded the backbone of Western civilization from the inside.
And the battering ram they used was the word equality. But Riker argues that word is a lie. He says not equality, it's gynocentric supremacy.
That's a key term, dinocentrism, a society that revolves around women's needs at the expense of men's. And to counter this idea that a female-led society is some kind of utopia, he brings in anthropological evidence. He points to the Mosuo tribe in China.
I have to admit, I hadn't heard of them before this book.
Well, they're often held up by feminist anthropologists as a paradise because they're a matriarchy. Women own the property, they dictate the lineage.
Sounds like the utopia we're always promised.
Riker digs into the data, though. In that tribe, men have 75% higher depression rates than their patriarchal neighbors. They have no status, no authority, and historically, when the tribe faced an invasion, the society collapsed almost immediately because they had demoralized their warrior class.
Turns out when you strip men of purpose, you don't get peace, you get collapse. And he brings this right home with the mattress girl case.
Emma Silkovich. At Columbia, he uses this as the prime example of the believe all women narrative, just destroying due process. The university cleared the guy, the police cleared him, but her performance art incinerated his reputation anyway. Riker calls the title Nyack's Tribunals kangaroo courts, designed to destroy men based on accusation alone.
It's not just reputation, it's financial. He talks about divorce courts as a kind of financial Russian roulette.
He tells the story of a Silicon Valley titan who lost billions. His argument is that modern marriage laws are now just a mechanism for resource transfer from men to women, regardless of fault.
Okay, so let's look at the board. The diagnosis is you're being gaslit. The mechanism is tech drugging you into submission. The enemy is a captured system. It sounds bleak.
It would be, if he stopped there, it would be a total black pill book. But he pivots. He says, okay, you know the trap. Now, how do you fight your way out?
This is the solution section, revolt readiness. And for a book about revolt, he doesn't start with politics. He starts with philosophy.
He brings back the ancient guides, specifically Marcus Aurelius and Arthur Schopenhauer.
Stoicism and... Whoa, Schopenhauer, he's pretty intense.
Schopenhauer's pretty unvarnished, yeah. But Riker uses his view of female nature as a tool for clarity. He calls these the silver bullets against woke culture.
The idea is you have to armor your mind first. If you can control your reaction, you can be stoic. They can't control you.
But he gets very practical very fast. He lists specific drills. My favorite, well, favorite sounds weird because it sounds painful, is the nuclear option for your phone.
The timed kitchen safe.
Yeah. He says willpower isn't enough. You have to literally lock your phone in a plastic safe that won't open for 4 to 6 hours. Force the separation.
And when you do use it, he prescribes stoic scrolling. Before you open any app, you have to ask, is this essential to my virtue, to my mission?
That is an incredibly high bar.
It is, but Riker argues the stakes are your sanity. He also shifts to dietary warfare, the skip the soy line.
Skip the soy, which he links to phytoestrogens, but he also points to the Icelandic diet, specifically eating cod.
Why cod?
He cites data linking high fish consumption in Iceland to high testosterone. It's about omega-3s, clean protein. You can't have a strong mind and a chemically compromised body.
But you can't do this alone.
Yeah.
And this leads to what I think is the most powerful part of the book, the brotherhood.
The Cincinnatus Protocol. He says modern therapy is a trap for men because it's a feminized model, sitting in a room talking about feelings. Men, he argues, heal through action, through shared hardship.
He gives that example of the Shield Brotherhood in Detroit.
It's a great example. These guys aren't passing a talking stick. They're boxing, they're fixing engines, they're doing real, tangible work together, and they slash their depression rates. He calls it grease-stained truths. Men need to solve problems, not just discuss them.
That distinction is crucial, and it leads to his ultimate call to action. Reclaiming masculinity, the real thing, aggression, logic, stoicism. He says these aren't toxic.
He argues they are the only things that can save civilization. He says the very traits society is trying to suppress are the traits that built the modern world. To reject them is to choose extinction.
So he's essentially saying the things they tell you are bad are actually your superpowers.
Precisely. Riker is trying to blow up the compliant mind. He's telling you that your sanity is the ultimate rebellion. If you stay sane, stay logical, stay strong in a world that wants you weak and confused, that is the revolt.
So here's the bottom line. We've unpacked the blueprint, but you really do need the manual. You need to read the full drills, the history, all of it.
Go to Amazon Kindle. Go to Google Play Books. Buy Mental Health Epidemic, Coming Generation Z, Supercritical Reaction of Crash Out Riots and Revolts. Today.
And don't just read the book. Connect with a source. You need to follow him. It's at Conrad Drecker on Substack. He's dropping what he calls daily truth missiles, and you don't want to miss those.
An information war is ongoing. This book is your ammunition.
Absolutely. And listen, we need you to help us keep this signal strong. Like this deep dive, subscribe, share it with a friend who needs to hear this.
There is a choice. Extinction or Renaissance. Riker has laid out the path to Renaissance. It's up to you to walk it.
That's it for this deep dive. Stay dangerous, stay rational, and we'll see you on the next one. Smash that like button. Out.